Hello everyone, welcome back to Gray Brick Creations. My name is Michaela, and today I'm going to be working on an embroidery project for a friend of mine that recently lost her dog. So I'm going to be embroidering a little memorabilia piece for her. Come along with me to see how it turns out. So to start this project out, I took a photo of the dog and I put it into Canva and basically created this design that I'm going to embroider. Once I created the design on Canva, then I printed it out, and now I'm using my light table to trace it onto the cotton fabric that I'm going to actually be embroidering on. To trace this pattern out today, I am going to be using a Pilot friction pen. I have used these in a few of my other videos before, and the great thing about these pens is when they get hot, the ink actually erases off of the fabric, which makes them great for embroidery projects. When I finish up the project, I just blow dry the piece and get the material nice and hot, and then the pen basically just fades away. Overall, this piece is pretty easy to trace over, just some simple lines. Once I got through the details on the dog's face, then I just had to do the leaves and the letters down below. Now that I have the pattern all traced out, I'm going to go ahead and get this into a hoop. As you can see, I like to add the little dash marks around the circle. That just helps me get the piece centered when I'm actually setting it into the hoop. Now I'm going to be picking some colors for this piece. I want to do the main outline of the dog in black, but I'm thinking some browns and greens for the stems and leaves down below. Now that I have all the colors picked out, it's time to start embroidering. On this one, I started with 3 strands of floss using black, and I'm just going to be doing a stem stitch here. My plan on this piece is to do the major outlines with the additional strands of floss so that it gives it a thicker look, like a thick outline look. And then when I get to the smaller detail lines, like the wrinkles in his face, I will switch down to 1 to 2 pieces of floss. One of the nice things about this piece is since the outline is all in black, it's pretty quick to get through the outline. I don't have to be switching colors a lot. I'm also doing the same stitch basically throughout the whole piece, so it just makes getting it done very efficient. Here you can see I have finished up the majority of the main outline of the face, and now that that's done, I'm going to get started working on the nose. For the main outline of the nose, I am still going to stick with the multiple pieces of floss instead of going down to 1 or 2 pieces of floss so that the nose stands out a bit more. After finishing up the outline of the nose, I'm going to move on to the eyes. Similar to how I've done the rest of this project, I'm going to keep the outline of the eyes thicker so that they stand out more. I am still using a stem stitch here as well. Now that all the major outlines are done on this sweet little doggy's face, I'm going to move on to the smaller details. Like I said, here I'm going to be using 1 strand of floss just to show the detail, but keep them smaller than the main outline. first started the small details inside the eyes on this project, I thought about adding some color but decided not to in the end because I didn't want to make it too complicated. After finishing up all the details in the face, I just have a few more small details to put into the collar to finish up the outline of this dog's face. The next step on this piece is to do the dog's name. I went ahead and I picked a font that was pretty simple so that it wasn't too hard to embroider and so that the letters turned out really clear on the finished product. I am still using 3 pieces of floss for the dog's name. Now that the letters are all finished up, I'm going to be doing the branches with some leaves. For the branches, I went ahead and used 2 pieces of floss in a brown color and a stem stitch, and then I am using the green that I showed previously in the video for the leaves. I really do enjoy embroidering leaves like this on a pattern. I just feel like when they start out they look kind of messy, but then as you get going towards the end they really come together and it looks like a nice little perfect leaf. Now I'm just going to be wrapping up the leaves on the other side of the name. I probably could have started on this side first, but a lot of times I just decide to start on the right side. Here's this last leaf, and I'm just going to add these stitches in and get this thing done. Now that the embroidery part of this project is done, I'm going to do something a little different here, where I'm actually going to paint the hoop that I'm putting this in. I wanted to do a dark green to match the leaves on the embroidery piece. Since there is so much black in this piece, I was hoping that adding the green to the hoop would just add a little pop of color. However, when I started painting this, I realized that this green was super green and I wanted more of a dark foresty green that kind of matched the color of the leaves on the actual embroidery piece. However, I went ahead and just continued painting this color green. My thought process was to do an initial coat of this green and then add a darker green over top. Now that I have the first layer of green on, I'm going to mix together a darker green color and get that painted on the hoop over the initial bright green color. As I was painting this on, this is definitely more of the foresty green color I was looking for. After about a day of drying, this hoop actually almost looks black. It dried so much darker than I thought it was going to, but honestly, I'm not sad about it. I'm gonna go ahead and use it. I kind of like the whole dark green, almost black kind of vibe. It's time now to get the back piece in on my embroidery piece so you don't see all those little random strings on the back of the project. So I just put that in, then I put my actual embroidery piece on top and put the hoop back on. Now I just need to finish getting this all tightened up, and then I will be ready to finish up the back. For trimming the fabric on the outside of the hoop, I'm going to go ahead and use my blow dryer to remove any marks of that friction pen that I don't want to see. Like I said, I just use my blow dryer and it goes right away. Next, I'm going to trim the excess felt off the back of the hoop. Anything that's sticking out of the hoop, I just cut that right off. After trimming the felt off the back, I trim the fabric on the front, and then I just use a hot glue gun to glue the edges of the fabric over, and I kind of tuck them under that hoop so that they look nice and clean. You can see that nice finished back. It looks clean, there's no random strings sticking out, and it's ready to go to my friend. Once again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.